Welcome to another session of Stelmo's Rants and Raves. I'm Stelmo. Let's jump right in. So, we're just now getting preliminary reports. It's being reported on Fox that a drone has struck a nuclear power plant in the Middle East. And because this is just the initial report, we don't know exactly how bad this may or may not be. This occurred in the UAE, and they have been experiencing a lot of attacks by Iran during this alleged ceasefire. Now, okay, I realize the UAE is not necessarily a named party to the conflict, but, we started this war, and as a result of the war, we have the Iranian lunatics attacking all their Mideast neighbors. And, and let me say, there is this underlying hatred there because, and I always get this wrong, so I'll just do it in a generic way. One is Sunni and the rest are Shia. And this has been going on, for eons of ages. And it is what it is. So it's not like these are Iran's allies in any way, shape, or form. But nonetheless, I worry all the time because I never heard of this concept before, where you start a war and then you have a ceasefire, and during the ceasefire, it seems to me that only one country is benefiting from it, and that is not the United States. And Iran is able to regroup, and I've said this before. I said, God forbid that the Iranians are able to muster some of the rockets that they have left and make a strike. And I don't know what particular target or targets they could go after, but I have to believe that there are targets there in the Mideast that if these things are hit, that it may take months, if not years, to get the oil production back up to where it had been prior to the war. And I just don't understand the president's reluctance to finish this war. Now, it is possible that things are going on behind the scenes that I'm not privy to and that are not being reported in the press, and may ultimately affect why the president is acting the way he is. I understand that's a problem. But this seems to just go against all of the norms. I just don't understand what we're going to gain by a ceasefire. We started this war. We have to finish it. If for no other reason, we must get the Strait of Hormuz open. This is going to create so many problems now for us. I suggest several years from now, we will still be suffering the repercussions from this, because there's what I always call the law of unintended consequences. Nobody, I don't think there's any one person that fully understands the complex supply routes and stuff out there, and how once you have an event that alters this system, it takes ages to get back to normal. See, I believe that we have never really recovered fully from the pandemic. I mean, I know, let's just take Walmart. Walmart used to be open 24/7. They're no longer doing that, and they're not the only ones. And this has resulted in the loss of jobs. And so I know there's a lot of spin out there, but I just, we need to finish this. We need to get back to normal. You know, I heard President Trump talking about how he's only been there 2.5 months. I got that. I got it hasn't been long, especially when you compare it to something like Vietnam, Korea, or any of these other actions. But the difference here is the Strait of Hormuz is shut down and it needs to get open. I don't know if this is accurate. I just saw the headline, didn't read the article. Where they're saying that 1 billion barrels of oil so far have been lost because of this war, and this just can't keep up. And you know, sometimes I get overly pessimistic. You know, I look at what's happening with the financial system, and things don't bode well there. I know they're talking about, oh, happy days are here again, and everything is super great and everything, but you can't lie about the economy. You know, I live in Florida, and, you know, we're somewhat protected here in Florida because we have so many retirees, and these retirees bring with them, you know, guaranteed income. And so they have that income to spend. And so businesses here, I suggest, are doing a little better than many other areas of the country. But with that being said, businesses here are hurting. Businesses are closing down. Restaurants really been hit hard. And I mean, the prices, you know, they want us to believe that inflation, oh, it's these low numbers they're telling us. But that's not what people are experiencing when they go shopping. And you can't lie to them about what they're paying for groceries. Now, I know groceries only is a part of the overall inflation number that they look. But we have inflated housing costs. You know, I sometimes, you know, when I'm talking to people, I say, I don't understand how young people today can make it. I mean, here in Florida, you know, a one-bedroom apartment, you're lucky. You're real lucky if you find one for less than $2,000 a month. And, you know, that's a substantial cost. And when you look at the price of vehicles today and insurance, it's harder and harder for these people to make ends meet. And it's only going to be aggravated by this war because, you know, everyone is gone apoplectic because inflation went up a little over, I think it was about 1.5 additional points in the latest month. And I suggest that that's only a tiny fraction of what we're going to experience because of this prolonged action in the Middle East, which is now on hold. Why is it on hold? I don't know. I don't understand that, because every day that it's on hold is another day that's going to aggravate the supply chains, another day of who knows how many barrels of oil lost. And that doesn't bode well. So I think the president needs to do whatever he has to get this finished. Now, I read an editorial. I forget the gentleman's name, but he was an ex-congressman. And, you know, he was talking about how the biggest enemy that Ayatollahs and their other religious zealot idiot friends are facing are the people of Iran. And I somewhat agree with that, but the problem is, and I've said this right from the start, why aren't they getting weapons to the public? You know, Iran is one of these areas where it's illegal to own weapons. We see time and time again what happens in areas where the population cannot have weapons to protect themselves. And I know at one point the president said that he thinks they're starting to get weapons, but it's a very slow process. And I think it started late. I think right from the very beginning, they should have been getting some munitions into some of these protesters, especially in Tehran, where they can take out some of these IRGC members. I mean, the IRGC has been decimated by our bombing campaign. We all witnessed, I don't know how many, the Pentagon put out hundreds of videos of successful bombing operations. And many of these vehicles, had people in them. And those people are no longer, assuming there's enough pieces to pick up, they've been sent to the mortician. And I hope we can still say that word on some of these platforms. But I don't know. Every day that goes on is just another day that's going to raise the repercussions from this exponentially. It's sad. And perhaps, and this is a hard, dark place to go, but sometimes I wonder, are they doing this intentionally, as part of this great reset that we keep hearing about? I don't know the answer to that, but I'd be really interested to listen to whatever you all might have to say on this issue. And if anyone has any questions, please jot them down below, and I'll be more than happy to give you my take on the questions. And with that, I want to wish you to have a safe, happy day, and stay safe in this crazy world we live in. Bye-bye.